So Baby Driver tells a story of a young man who... So Baby Driver tells a story of a young man who's... So Baby Driver tells a story of a young... I'm just not feeling it. Oh yeah, that's more like it. So Baby Driver. So Baby Driver tells the story of a young getaway driver who uses the beat of his own personal soundtrack to amplify his skills so that he can pay off his debt to a mob boss. But when he meets the girl of his dreams, he starts looking for other ways to ditch the shady lifestyle and free himself of his debt forever.
Get out of the car!
Oh, my purse!
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Baby Driver is the newest film, the 5th film, in fact, by the acclaimed director Edgar Wright. This guy has got a huge following. He's the one that brought the Cornetto trilogy of Shaun the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and At World's End. He did Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. He was doing Ant-Man until his style clashed with what Marvel was trying to do. So this has been his passion project that he's been trying to get out, apparently since sometime in the 90s when he actually came up with the idea of this movie. And honestly, I'm not the biggest Edgar Wright fan. I don't dislike his movies. I'm just not on much of a high like everybody else is whenever you start talking about movies like Shaun of the Dead. I enjoy them, just not my favorite films of all time. And I really didn't have any expectations walking into Baby Driver. I figured it'd probably be a fun movie, a good little getaway, a good breath of fresh air. And I'm here to tell you people, this is probably my second favorite movie of the year so far. Actually, you know what? Definitively, I'll say it. It's my second favorite movie of the year, just behind Logan, just beating out John Wick Chapter 2. I loved this damn thing. Since I already started talking about him, let me go ahead and get my first positive out of the way with Edgar Wright. Holy crap, he directed the shit out of this movie. This is the movie that I was picturing in my head whenever everybody was hyping up La La Land. Now, if you're a big La La fan, forgive me for what I'm about to say, I wasn't a huge fan of that movie. Everybody really amplified it, overhyped it, said this is the musical for people who do not like musicals. This is the musical reinvented. Well, I'm here to tell you people, this is my idea of what a musical reinvented is. Now, I don't want to scare anybody away with the description of musical. This is a movie that is driven and given life by the soundtrack and by the utilization of the beats and the motion of the music to carry forward the story. It's the most unique thing I have ever seen done with a soundtrack. The scenes seem cut, set up, and written almost exactly to coincide with whatever song they put in the background. The music flows throughout this entire movie. It's the thing that gives it its lifeline. It's the thing that propels the story forward. It's not just a gimmick. It's not just a cliche device. It's one of the most unique utilizations of music I have ever seen. And that is 100% credit given to Edgar Wright, because this had to have taken a ton of planning, careful selections of music, careful writing, careful directing to get all of those elements to mesh together and to work together as like these little cogs and gears that keep Baby Driver moving, and he did it flawlessly. He gets amazing performances out of all of his actors. He had a great balance of comedy, action, crime, thriller, musical. All of those things come together to make one thing that is so unique and so awesome that it's crazy how well that it works. And he also wrote this movie, so it'd be all credit given to Edgar Wright. I cannot say it enough. This is the movie that has made me an Edgar Wright fanatic. Anything this guy does from this point on, it's going to have my attention, and I want to go back and watch all of the movies that I just got done saying I'm not too high on, because I'm probably going to like them even more. And another big credit that I'll give to Edgar Wright is that this is a really simple story that we've seen quite a few times before. A person in a life of crime trying their best to get out of it. But the way that Edgar Wright presents this story, the way that he uses really sharply written dialogue, and the music that I continue to talk about and will continue to talk about, the way that he utilized that to propel and tell the story in a really unique way makes Baby Driver feel like something you have never seen before, even if you've seen every Getaway Driver movie ever.
Doc said Michael Myers.
This is Mike Myers.
It should be the Halloween mask.
This is a Halloween mask.
No, the killer dude from Halloween.
Oh, you mean Jason?
No!
Speaking of incredible performances by his actors, let me go ahead and talk about baby himself, Ansel Elgort. Now, the only time I've seen this kid act is in The Fault in Our Stars. Not my kind of movie whatsoever. Probably not the best introduction to his acting talent, but everything that he brought to the character of Baby, from the charm, the comedy, to the way that he incorporated his past in musical and dance theater, to the way that he has really good action scenes. He has this real stern look in his eyes that's kind of reminiscent to what Ryan Gosling brought to his character in Drive. The way that he brought all of those elements together, and the way that he interacted with all of the other cast, in some scenes without saying a single line of dialogue, just like Edgar Wright. Now I'm going to have my eye on this kid. Everything that he does from now on, I'm going to go, let's see what Baby's bringing out this time. He is awesome.
Why'd I believe phones over here heard the goddamn word you said? You lay down your whole plate. He ain't even listening.
Baby?
The target is an armored truck at Perimeter Trust in Dunwoody, 10 a.m. sharp. We have the details of the route because someone at the depot has a nasal problem. The bank itself is right near the Buford Highway, so we should be able to hit the ramp within 60 seconds of getting out. The dress code is the Michael Myers Halloween mask, but don't all buy your mask at the same time. It looks suspicious. It needs to be ready for an 8:30 start in the a.m. Questions?
Well, ain't y'all cute?
That's my baby.
Right behind him is Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey plays the mob boss that actually has the contract and the debt that Baby is trying to pay off, and he is incredible in this. I mean, you cannot say anything more about Kevin Spacey. The dude has done everything. He's a phenomenal actor. He can be comedic, he can be dramatic, he can be scary, and he has all of those small elements to the many roles that we love him for in this role. But what I love about it is that he's not your typical evil mob boss guy. He's not the guy that just you want to see shot in the head by the end of the movie. He has kind of this father-son relationship with Baby that's really interesting because it's strained and yet it's really, really heartwarming at times. And I love their relationship with each other because it's kind of this mutual respect mixed with a little bit of mutual hate, mixed with a little bit of necessity to be around each other. But for some reason, their dynamic with each other just kept the movie going for me. It was so different from a typical movie that you would see a mob boss character and the character that is indebted to them, who inevitably wants them dead to get out of that situation. It's not that at all in this, and that was a great breath of fresh air. John Hamm from Mad Men fame is in this. He's kind of like one of the hired guns, one of the hired robbers for Kevin Spacey that Baby has to drive around. He's probably my favorite of all of the little ragtag robbers that come along in this because he has such this charisma to him that I've never really been a big Mad Men fan, so I didn't get to see it in that, but everybody's always gushed about this guy. I get to see a little bit of it in The Town, but his character I always hated because you're designed to hate that character. This is the introduction to John Hamm that I needed because this guy is just electrifying with the way that he kind of has this gravitas and this charisma to the way that he speaks to people, where he has this charm about him, but he also has this don't fuck with me attitude that's really good. He's really cool as kind of the big personality in this robber group. Now, who many people who see this movie will probably call the bigger personality is Jamie Foxx. Now, I've said numerous times that I'm not a big Jamie Foxx fan, so it's hard for me to give praise to Jamie Foxx because I really have a huge distaste for him, but I will say this. He's really good at playing a complete, hateable asshole. I don't think it's that big of a stretch. He probably just walked on set, turned the camera on, and just acted like himself.
That's some Oscar shit right there.
Okay, I'll be nice. Honestly, Jamie Foxx does do really good in this movie. He's really charismatic with the way that he makes everybody hate him. He's kind of the loose cannon. I mean, kind of. He's definitely the loose cannon in this group. But the way that he's a loose cannon just kind of keeps propelling the story forward. Whenever it feels like it's going to get a little bit cliche, he's kind of that loose cannon that comes in and jumpstarts it again, to where all of a sudden the tension is really palatable again. You don't know what's going to go on. You don't know what this guy's going to do. Is he going to really just screw everything up? Is he going to pull something out of his hat that's going to mess up all of their plans? You don't know anytime Jamie Foxx is on screen. And I got to give credit to him. He pulled it off. Eliza Gonzalez plays Darling. She's basically John Hamm's wife. She's the partner in this crime group, and she was really good as well, mostly with her back and forth with John Hamm. But what I liked about her is that she's a really strong female character. She's not like the type of character that needs John Hamm to do all of the fighting for her or to pull all of her weight. She looks at people and tells them exactly how it's going to go, and you believe her. And one last character that I want to focus on for a second is C.J. Jones, who is playing Joseph. He's basically Baby's foster father. He does not speak a single word of dialogue. He's actually deaf in real life. But the way that they have that relationship between Baby and Joseph, where every single scene, all they do is sign language, and he talks to him through the music. You know, he puts his hand to the speaker and can kind of get the emotion of what's going on through the beats of the music. I loved the relationship between those two characters, because not only was it one of the most emotional relationships in the movie without saying a single line of dialogue, but it was just really cool how these two people communicate and bond and have this emotion towards each other and this love and respect for each other through music. And I love the way that they wrap that entire storyline up in a really sweet, really bittersweet way, where you really feel for both characters. You feel the sadness, you feel the love for both the characters, but at the same time, you really feel like there's something better on the horizon. Like if they were going to do a Baby Driver 2, which I don't think they're going to, but the little bit of storyline that's left to be told between those two characters, you can kind of come up with on your way walking out of the theater, and you just smile thinking about it. I love the relationship between those two characters. Moving on from the characters, the driving sequences. Holy shit, the driving sequences in this movie. Some of the best I've ever seen. Hands down.
He had an accident when he was a kid. Still has a hum in the drum. Plays music to drown it out. And that's what makes him the best.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
From the very opening sequence, they hooked me. I'm like, this person right here, whoever the hell is driving this car, is the best, because they do some of the coolest stunts. They have some of the most electrifying, intense, and exciting driving getaway sequences I have ever seen. And I've seen a ton of crime thrillers, people. It's just amazing the way they were able to do it. And a lot of that has to do with the way they mix the music in that makes it really different. But some of the action that they put on screen in this movie is phenomenal. From the very beginning all the way to the end. Some people have said it gets a little too cliche with the way crime thrillers go in the very end. I completely disagree. I was engaged. I was on the edge of my seat. I was totally salivating for the next action sequence that was going to come in Baby Driver, all the way to the end credits. It was phenomenal. Now, I keep bringing up music, and now I'm going to talk about it in depth, because the music, the way they utilized it, the soundtrack, is by far my biggest positive in Baby Driver. If you thought that Guardians of the Galaxy utilized their soundtrack well, pales in comparison to what they did with Baby Driver, because not only is the soundtrack great and really diverse in decades and styles of music, I mean, you get everything from Queen to Barry White in this, but the way that they utilized the music, the way that Edgar Wright wrote the movie and directed the movie, kind of around the music, is incredible. Like I said, it's nothing like I've ever seen before. From the very beginning, every single scene, every single sequence, every single line of dialogue to a degree is written and shot and beat with the music that plays in Baby's earphones. And they even do this cool thing when you watch it in theaters, or if you watch it in surround sound at home, where like in a sequence, if somebody takes out one of his earbuds, suddenly the music swells to the opposite end of the room, or if somebody taps on the side of his ear, you hear like this thumping on the side. It was really, really immersive and interesting. But the way, getting back to the music, the way that they utilize the music here, like I said, it gives life to the movie. It's what propels the story forward. It's what really makes you kind of identify with Baby, because every single song that he chooses, like he even has a sequence when he won't let them get out of the car until a certain beat in the music. That way he can kind of time his getaway to the beats of the music. It's really cool. And being somebody who loves music, I'm all over that shit. I loved it. Now, moving on to negatives, I honestly don't really have too many, but there are some things. This is kind of nitpicking to a degree, but they are things that is not as well pulled off as the rest of the movie. One is Jon Bernthal's character, not because of his performance or because of the character himself, because he is awesome in this, like he is awesome in everything else I've seen him in. The negative is that they don't use him enough, because he's in there, he's one of the coolest parts of the group, he's one of the coolest parts of the first third of this movie, and then he walks off the screen and you never see him again. Even when the characters are brought back later on, like John Hamm and Eliza Gonzalez, you don't see Jon Bernthal. And I don't know how about you guys, but when I was seeing them, I'm like, where's Jon Bernthal? And that's not good if you have a character that's pulled off that well. In the later half of the movie, you're thinking, when is he coming back? Because he was awesome. And the other small negative that I have, again, not that their performance was bad or not that the character was bad, but Lily James' character, she's basically the love interest for Baby. She's the one that kind of drives him, no pun intended, to get out of this life of crime. And the only negative I have with their relationship is it's very fast. They're strangers, they meet each other, they're kind of these free spirits, they want to run away together, and in a way, for this type of storyline, that works because you kind of have to have that kind of a love interest to drive Baby, but at the same time, in a realistic world, it's hard for me to really invest in relationships that are just kind of kicked off and sped through to the end of the movie, to where you're suddenly supposed to believe that this person who just met Baby is suddenly willing to basically lay it all out on the line to get him and to get her out of this situation. It just seems a little far-fetched when you stop to think about it. Now, it's not something that bogs the movie down. It's not something that while it's happening you're sitting there going, no, that wouldn't quite work that way. It's just something that you kind of marinate on after you leave the movie. You're like, I don't know if I would ever do that much for somebody that I just met. It just doesn't quite mesh with me.
And your waitress girlfriend, she's cute. Let's keep it that way.
I want us to head west and never stop. You in?
I'm in, baby.
But like I said, that is it for my negatives, and those are just really small nitpick negatives. In a way, they're just kind of my smallest positives for the movie, so take that for what it is. And to wrap all this up, guys, Baby Driver was not only a gigantic breath of fresh air, not only was it a gigantic surprise for me, but it's one of the most enjoyable movies I've seen all year. It's definitely the most fun that I've had in the movie all year. I love the performances, I love the characters, I love the way that Edgar Wright wrote and directed this movie, and the totally unique thing that he did with bringing together the music to propel the story forward into what I will call a musical reinvented. So pop in your favorite soundtrack and haul ass to the theater to see this immediately, and when you're done seeing it in theaters, go out and buy it. So what did you guys think of Baby Driver? Did you love it as much as I did? Did it leave a little bit to be desired? What's your favorite Edgar Wright movie? Did you enjoy the soundtrack? Do you feel like this was more of a musical reinvented than La La Land was? Put all of your thoughts on Edgar Wright and Baby Driver down in the comment section below, and we'll talk about it. Please like and share this video and hit that subscribe button. That way you get to come back and see me next time. If you want to check out some of my social media links like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, you can check all those out down below, as well as my Patreon page where you can support this channel and get a lot of exclusive content, so check that out as well. And if you want to check out some more of my videos, as always, you can check out a few more by clicking right over here.